Hello, everyone. We are back. Yeah, I hope you know me so much. And we have here Guido from WAP VR. He's going to show us how we could do with it, especially for VR for training, right? And Jennifer is going to give an overview of who he is and the great stuff he's doing.
Thanks, Arome. We are really, really excited for this next presentation. Guido Helmerhorst is on the co-founders, or is one of the co-founders, sorry, of Warp VR and has a background in the airline industry. Over the last 4 years, he's worked with medium to large-sized organizations from healthcare to the energy sector, targeting their challenge to train their employees anytime, anywhere, with story-based, real-life, situational, and immersive training courses. The added value in terms of employee knowledge retention and engagement, and the ease of the SaaS platform for creating and managing VR training courses has turned their clients into raving fans. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over, and I can't wait to become a raving fan myself. Guido?
Thank you so much, Jennifer, Arome, for the introduction. I hope you can all hear me well. And let's get on with the show, so to speak. So today we have 25 minutes, lots to tell you, and it's all about VR and training. So this is about, somewhat of the agenda we're going to see. We're going to talk about the challenges we see businesses have and how we're going to tackle them. How you can actually make it happen also yourself. VR training, and where to start, what to do, because we really believe that the best way to learn is just do it and start small and big. And then you can also see, so how should I even start with the pilot? Well, speaking about pilots, I have as Jennifer told you, I have a background in the airline industry. For 10 years, it was my environment, but it was also the place where I saw the challenge of situational training and on-the-job training, which led me to co-found Warp VR. We are a platform, a SaaS platform, and we enable companies, small, big, to do situational training and make that available to their users. We were founded about 4 years ago, part of the Yes Delft incubator here in the Netherlands, where we're based, and we're proud to to have some big client names along the ride, and I'm going to show you what we're doing there. But let's start with the business challenge, because in the end, VR, the application of it, it's not a gimmick. It has real value, and you have to show it. So often you get the question of, is it better? Is it easier? Is it faster? How can we make training safer, or how can we have our employees train in a cheaper or easier way? And that all has to do with the challenges companies have. So it's all about, of course, cost efficiency, but also about scalability. If you need to train 5 people, that's okay, go ahead. But what if you need to train 500 people or 50 people every week? So then it becomes a different ballgame, which involves a lot of resources, planning, but it's not scalable and not repeatable often. The other part is, of course, the world is moving fast, so there's a requirement of time to market. So you have to respond quickly to changes that arise. So how do you tackle those? At the same time, when you look at also operational driven businesses, you have to make money. So that comes first. Operations comes first, and then you need to train in that environment, which is not often it's not easy. Sometimes it's dangerous if you're talking about, for example, an oil and gas platform, but even in the airline in a hangar. So those are places which you cannot train easily on the job in that environment. And at the same time, of course, also in this whole COVID-19 pandemic, there's an increasing demand for, okay, so let's go digital. But how do you go digital when you're used to you being in a classroom, or providing training in a classroom, or providing training with um, on the job training with a mentor? So those are all elements which, well, trigger this question of, okay, so we have these business challenges. How can we deal with them? What options do we have? Nowadays, e-learning, yes, classroom, instructor-led, PowerPoint, they're all there. And those are the known go-to places to provide training to employees. But all those elements or all those media have different positives and negatives. So e-learning, yes, it's scalable and remotely accessible, but it's not really engaging, and it's more about theory than it's about practice. On the other hand, if you really have on-the-job training, it's all about practice and being there, and maybe have a mentor, but that's not scalable. So then you have the problem of providing it to large groups of people fast and efficient. So that's where VR comes in. So we have um, uh, chosen the path as Walk VR of the immersive technology and using 360 video. Because with 360 video, it's about real situations, about real people, and we make it interactive. So we're talking about real choices and experiencing real emotion and real consequences. It's really learning by doing. Scenario based, we put trainees, learners in a story where it's kind of those choose your own adventure. Maybe books we some of you might remember, but this is the digital version of that. And it's really based on action, reaction, experience-based learning. One of the reasons, of course, of why should you do it, apart from those business challenges, is also about, okay, effectiveness, and why should you bother. So one of the research we've done personally with the Amsterdam Medical Center in CPR training, we compared e-learning and 2D video with kind of e-learning, so theory, and VR training. And on remembering the procedure, we saw more than a 40% increase in first time right on the exam. And the recent study even shows that after a year, people who were trained with VR remembered the procedure better than people who didn't train with VR. So it has real benefits. luckily. Sorry about that. So this was an example where you saw a customer service example where you train in a situation your store employee and you have to deal with an agonized customer who comes in. So this is one of the examples, and we see more and more applications across industries, but also across kind of applications in a sense for safety, security, soft skills, dealing with resistance. So across the board, basically the employee journey, we see more and more examples coming up, and I will show you later on a little bit more. So the benefits, of course, where when we talk about learning with VR, it's about the impact of that compelling story-based scenario. It's about flexibility. You can train it basically anytime, anywhere. And of course, it's about the business benefit of not disturbing that operation. And to be clear, we are very much focused on 360 video and not on the 3D models, which we also, of course, also often see in the VR arena. So how do you make it happen? How would you create such a scenario? And you can do it easily yourself. And basically the way to start is thinking of this way. So first, we're building a library. So you can even buy off-the-shelf content. We have more and more, in collaboration with partners, we have more and more content available, readily available. So you can train, well, today, tomorrow, with the scenarios which are already in the library. The other part is, of course, creating it yourself. If you have a 360 camera or you're planning to buy one, you're good to go. And you can use the platform, which I will show you in a minute. And the other part, or the third part, is, of course, that you can also get help or expert assistance with creating those scenarios. And we have a growing network worldwide of what we call warp experts, which are basically partners who use their skills and our technology to provide the best experiences to their users. So Warp Studio, brief introduction, brief show of what the platform does. Basically three things. First is the creation tool. It's a collaboration tool where you can storyboard your scenario. So that's where you start. You start with thinking about the learning objective. And then you gradually model and storyboard that. Then you film and you upload it to the platform, where when you published it, you can actually distribute it to your users very easily and assign those scenarios to the right people. And the third part is basically the data. It's a digital environment. People, trainees will make choices. And all those choices are recorded and sent back to the platform. So you know which choices did people make. You can talk about them on an individual level, but you can also see or get more information out of more on a group level. And so when the procedure says everybody has to go to the left, but now you can see in the data that 30% goes to the right. How come? And you can actually go back and do something about that. It's connected to what we call Warp Play. So that's how do you distribute it to your end users. And we have a multi-platform approach. So you can play it on a mobile phone, iOS, Android, on a tablet, but also on headsets like the Pico, but also the Oculus Quest. So wherever you are, whatever is available to you, you can use to train in immersive learning scenarios. This talk, of course, is called the 7 steps of creating your own scenario. So let me walk you through those 7 steps. First step is what is the idea? What is the goal? What do you want your users to provide the experience is about? And then the question is, okay, how should somebody feel when he or she comes out of the experience? What should they have learned or walk away with? So that's all about, okay, where am I? What is the situation? What is the location? If it's very technical, maybe it's about, okay, what kind of machinery, what kind of procedures. So that's where you start thinking about the experience and how it should look like. Then you progress into more the story, because you have to become practical and you have to make it concrete. So then the question is, who am I? Where am I? Whenever I put on the headset or I'm immersed in that scenario, what happens? What are the choices I can make? What are the what can happen? What are the consequences you can think of, which provide that really learning by doing, and learning through consequences and experiencing consequences. That would be also the time, if you don't have a camera, a 360 camera yet, to go out and buy one or lease one. And of course, the platform Warp Studio. Then it's time to start storyboarding, which is all about the location, the time, the dilemmas, and put them in the storyboard. So you will create the non-linear, well, branched scenario basically in our flow tool, which is really easy to use. You can collaborate with your stakeholders, with your colleagues in creating that perfect scenario and getting ready for filming. Step 4 is about, okay, so I'm ready. So you put in all the details on the scenario. You put in where am I, what am I doing, what should you see around you, and you put that all in. And basically you can export that as a script. So you can take that on set. So then you're ready to go. You get your 360 camera and you go out and film. And our advice is definitely start easy. Make a small prototype, maybe a small tour around your office or around your city or wherever. Just start experimenting, start using the camera, start using the platform, and see what you can learn, how the experience is, and go from there. When you filmed, of course, then you have the output of, you have it on your SD card, and you can actually use it or import it into different available applications like Adobe Premiere. So basically, it's the editing of your 360 video. The output of that is actually media you can import into Warp Studio, where you can connect those two. So you have your scenario, your storyboard, but now you also have the media that is needed for all the scenes you define. So you connect them, you put in the interaction elements, like you also saw in the example, you check it, you hit publish or test, and you're good to go. And you have basically your first scenario, which you can experience on your phone or on your VR headset. When you're happy, it is the moment to share it with whomever you want. And you can refine, you can adjust. So you can go back to the flow tool, adjust some elements, republish, and you're good to go again. So that's also, it's a very iterative way of designing and creating scenarios. And step 7 is, of course, the analytics that come out of there. Some elements I think that might be of interest. So LMS integration, learning management system, so you can really make VR part of that total learning journey, of that learning path, and make it part of that blended approach. This is an example of the store. So this is the part where you say, okay, maybe I created a scenario, but I want to share it with the world. I want to provided to the world, and they actually can go to the store and purchase your scenario. So some use cases just to get a feel of, okay, so what are those applications? This is a safety awareness scenario where you have a job to do, and then it's the question. Then the question is, are you aware of the dangers around you while being pressed to actually perform and execute the task you were given? Another example is more technical training. So this is for KLM. There was a training for technical staff. And what are the procedures? And again, whenever you maybe make the wrong decision, you also experience the consequence of putting maybe a fellow employee, colleague in danger. And the third one is also this more soft skill scenario you just saw, where in this case British Telecom is able to provide that training, well, anytime, anywhere, to their employees. I'm conscious of the time, so I'm gonna press forward. In the end, it's all about the experience. As you know, as you are interested in the XR movement, maybe so to speak, it's good to experience these scenarios. So what we've created is a way for you guys also to play a couple of scenarios, also ones that I just showed you in the use cases. You can go to this, and I will leave it on for a moment. You can go to this link where you can download the app, you can log in, and you're good to go to experience those scenarios. A lot of what I just shared with you, we're also sharing with the community. It's very broad. So we talked about the applications, we talked about filming, we talked about maybe evaluation. So we try to provide also you and the community with the insights we gain from working with customers, working with partners, and to really put the right experiences out there, story-based. And so please, if you're interested, go to the website, read some blogs, and of course, reach out if you have any questions, remarks, or you want to try the platform. Let us know, book a demo, and let's talk about, okay, so what is your context and how can you make VR happen for your context? And I would like to leave it at that.
You did.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Very nice job. I have a couple of questions. Being that the space that I play in on a day-to-day basis, wanted to ask you something. So first, you made a great point with regards to the ways in which you need to approach the design of a VR simulation, whether that be in a fictional scenario, to demonstrate technical skills, soft skills, what have you. One of the things that you mentioned very rightfully had to do with taking into account the situation, the location, the machinery, and the procedure from a technical perspective. And since I live in the technical world, I wanted to ask you a little bit about this, because I noticed on your slide when you mentioned integrations, in the very top, you had a piece around XAPI. So I'd love to talk to you about that, because that format really gives gives good credence to what you're sharing with regards to best practices. Can you talk to us about the integration efforts that you all have put together with learning record stores and XAPI in particular?
Yeah, so thank you, Jennifer. So, but in that sense, it's an interesting question, because yes, as XAPI, and when we kind of started these integrations, we thought, okay, so this is the way to go. Indeed, the learning record stores. However, we also see that clients also maybe even struggle a bit and are sometimes still in the kind of the SCORM era or maybe LTI. So we haven't seen that far of integration yet, but we're ready for that. So all the data that could be available also in the XAPI, we already have available in the platform, and basically ready to push it out. But so far, we haven't seen a lot of clients who are actually ready for that. And I would love to hear more about you, and if you see that actually happen. Great to hear.
Yeah, let's connect. Yes, it's a very real thing, and I think those that are deeply in the VR training space definitely have LRSs and are looking for XAPI. So let's have that conversation. I would love to do that with you offline.
Awesome.
I wanted to also ask you a little bit with regards to 360. You talked about your approach there and your decision to really base the product on 360 video. What are your challenges or barriers to adoption that you see around scalability of those deployed assets, particularly in aviation, aerospace, oil and gas, some of those heavy industrial clients that you mentioned, and what are you doing, or what expertise can you share with us that has helped your clients kind of overcome that scalability challenge?
Yeah, so I think scalability has a couple of assets or variables, so to speak. So one, of course, is the scalability of saying, okay, so yes, we see VR as kind of the holy grail, but hey, we're not going to roll out 10,000 headsets at this point in time. So provide us with ways to already consume that content without actually already having to purchase a lot of headsets. So that's where kind of the flexibility of using your mobile phone, maybe with a universal VR headset. And as an example, there is a Dutch facility management company here in the Netherlands. And last Christmas, every one of the 16,000 employees got a VR cardboard or equivalent of that in their Christmas package, with an accompanying safety scenario, which they can play. So, and that's, of course, all about scalability. At the same time, of course, the integration, so making it part of the infrastructure of the company itself. So that's where kind of the connection with the learning management system come in. But that's kind of on the consumer side. The other part is, of course, okay, so how do we create content? And what we see now happening also within our client base is that they say, okay, but basically we only need a 360 camera ourselves, and then we can use the platform. So actually employees themselves are creating scenarios, going out there, creating videos, scenes, and then making basically their own content. So it's also a way to democratize, in a way, this creation of content. And of course, you have different grades of quality then in that sense. So then for maybe a company-wide safety training, they say, hey, we're going to use experts from your community. We're going to pull them in, help our subject matter experts to create that scenario. So it's both. So really making that content work and build up for an internal library, but of course also kind of a broader library of the future filled with experiences, basically.
Wonderful, fantastic. I can't wait to take a look at it. Quick question on the accessibility piece, because I think you very rightfully brought that up. What type of language support is available in the platform today?
probably we missed a couple of languages, but in that sense, we did Russian, we did Vietnamese, so it's very broad. It's in a way it's sometimes text based. Of course, in the videos you can have actors with different accents and languages. And of course, we're also actively looking at ways to make that also even more easier to do. So kind of the deep fake possibly, but I think that's down the road. But for now, you can easily you can create a scenario and you can film it in Vietnam. And at the same time, send it to Houston and let it film there, have it filmed there in the factory there, for example. So there is a lot of flexibility also there.
Thank you so much. And I see in the chat, people are looking for that link. So I think our friends on the back end are going to make sure that they get that link for them. There are people that are interested in the platform for sure. Arome, thoughts, observations from you?
I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes.
Yep.
Great. Okay, great. So thank you so much. My observation is there a limitation to the size of maybe a 360 video that can be uploaded on the platform?
Well, no, in a sense, but of course you have to take into account it's interactive, so we see short scenes. It's not that you take videos of 5 minutes. It's videos of 20 seconds, 40 seconds, because you anticipate that users actually make a choice and then continue in the story. So it doesn't make sense to have long videos. So that's one part. The other part is that, of course, you can create scenes and you can make. We have scenarios which consist of about 180 scenes. But of course, you have to think about, okay, does that serve the learning objective? And does it? Is it valuable to have so many branches? Because maybe there's some branches people don't even go to. But that's kind of learning in progress. But in that sense, there's not really a limitation.
When individuals launch, is it rendering all of the video packages on launch, or is it rendering as they make the decisions?
No. It's downloaded. So it's in that sense, it's a standalone solution. Also on your mobile phone, you download the scenarios, and basically you can then go off grid and still play it. So, and that's also, of course, it has to do with being able to play it offline or off the grid, but also because we want to make sure you have the best experience. And doing streaming. Well, we cannot guarantee that. So that's why we made early on the decision, download it and then play it.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Guido.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. You have to switch. Would have another session where you can give us like a run through on how to create the content using your platform. I think that will be more impactful. And also, we'll catch up soon. So thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Arome and Jennifer.
Thank you for your time.
All right,
Have
guys.
a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So thank you everyone for joining this session. Up next, we have Derek Ikenga. He's going to be showing us or sharing with us his experience with XR for, I think XR for retail. Yeah, retail and e-commerce. Right. So that's also an interesting one. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Can't wait to see you guys.
Bye.